Hello everybody, Lisa here. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to my sort of review of decks that I wanted to like and didn't, or wasn't sure I would like and still didn't. So if you do not like watching videos that talk about why people don't resonate with certain decks, then this is not the video for you, and I recommend you click away right now, because all I am sharing in this video are decks that I really wanted to love and just didn't, or hoped I would love and didn't, or were just generally let down by in some way or another. So with that being said, let's jump right into it. So the first deck I'm going to talk about, which will probably not be a surprise to anybody who has watched my tarot memoirs, because, you know, I really wanted to like this deck. This is the Impressionist Tarot by Corinne Kenner, and the artwork is by Arturo Picha. It's a low scarabeo deck. I have to say, the box is nice. It's one of those like sort of magnetic opening boxes. And if you love Impressionist art, then this really is a beautiful deck. But I just could not connect with it. Now, it's important to note that this is inspired by Edouard Manet, Claude Monet, Pierre-Auguste Renoir, Edgar Degas, Vincent van Gogh, and Paul Gauguin. I'm so sorry, you guys, if I slaughtered those names. But this is not original artwork by those artists. This is artwork that was created, inspired by those artists. So it is Impressionist style art. The guidebook is good, and I generally like Corinne Kenner's writing, so I don't think the guidebook is really at issue. For me, and it is a full color guidebook, which I should point out, but for me the issue really was with the cards. Not a fan, you guys. I'm just not a fan. So the cardstock is okay. It feels a little bit cardboardy and a little thin, so it doesn't have a nice quality feel to it. I really can't stand the backings, which took me a while to figure out what they're supposed to be, but they are supposed to be the back of paintings, as if this was hanging on a museum wall and you've pulled it down, which is neat in theory, but I think it kind of looks not fun on the back, so that was a bit of a turnoff. The artwork just ends up feeling not connected for me, and it's not that I think that anybody did a poor job, and the style is appropriate. It just, and I don't like this guy. Well, that's the devil, so I'm not supposed to like him, I suppose, and death. As is typical in some of these more recent low scarabeo decks, there's no titles, just the Roman numerals. And then when you get into the minors, you have a symbol at the top for the suit, and then a symbol at the bottom for what card. So this would be the Page of Cups, the Knight of Cups, the Queen of Cups. They're still even partly in order. Like, that's how not fun or not drawn to work with this deck I was. It's just, I thought I liked Impressionist art, and I think what I realized is that I like some Impressionist art. I love this image, it's pretty. I love like Starry Night by Van Gogh. There's a few specific paintings I like, but an entire deck of it, it just read a little too cold for me for some reason, and I couldn't connect. So this one has got to go. I found myself, even in tarot memoirs, when I would pull out cards to be used specifically to show examples of cards, that every time it came up I was just like annoyed by it. So this is definitely going. And I'm not sure if all of these are still in print. Like this Impressionist Tarot, I actually picked up, my sister and I both picked up a copy. It was on sale at one of my local metaphysical shops. I don't know if it's still in print, so I will have to do some lookups on that and see if it's still available. The next one, which I know will disappoint some of you, is this lovely Raven's Prophecy Tarot by Maggie Stiefvater. The book is really great. I have actually edged the book in my classical style, so color purple for the majors, blue for cups, green for pence, yellow for swords, and red for wands, so that I can easily find my way to the pages that I want. The guidebook is great. I think this deck is good. I've just discovered, and I have trimmed this and edged it in orange, I've discovered over time that I really like less minimalist decks. This one, as I flip through it, I have to admit, there's a part of me that doesn't want to part with it just yet. Like, maybe I want to try reading with this again. I feel like I might have been a little hasty, but really, truly, typically, you guys, this is growing on me like a tiny bit as I flip through it here. But I remember working with it for a week, and I will try to remember to link that video in the cards, but it didn't end up being a very clear reader for me. And I think it's some of these cards, like this Queen of Cups to me doesn't give me nearly enough to jump off of. I really like really evocative art. Some of them are good, but then some of them like this, I'm like, no. Yeah, I don't think I'm as on the fence as I think I am. I think I do appreciate the artwork, but I realize that as pretty as this is for me to look at, and some of the cards do speak to me, for the most part, stuff like this, especially through the quartz, it doesn't resonate. This Nine of Cups, really, it's okay. And I get what they're trying to kind of come across with the messages. And I know lots of people love working with this deck, but this one just was not for me. When I trimmed it, just for those of you who know, in case you're curious about trimming it, to get the front where I wanted it, there is weirdness that happens on the back. Like there's a little bit more of the border on the left that shows than the border on the right, and some of the border on the bottom is still showing in order to have this. I could have probably, no, I think if I had cut that off, it would have cut into the words. But so this one is another one that I will be rehoming at some point. So that's got to go. I don't think I would be excited about pulling this out. It is also in a nice sturdy box. And that one was a Llewellyn publication. You guys, this one, no. This was just such a big fat no. And I pulled this out, flipped through it, and knew right away it was a no. And I should have known better because I loved the original. The new Mythic Tarot takes the exact same images and has recreated them, I believe, digitally. And the originals were paintings. Let's talk about the backs for starters. Like, hello with the copyright and just the weird border. And I just, no, this was a no. As to the front, I found that a lot of the digital art, like these like little flames even, they have this like weird flat copy pasted sort of feeling to it. I did end up getting an original copy of the original Mythic. It's very well loved and well worn, but I just prefer the art style so much more. And you can find good comparison videos between the old and the new. I believe Kelly Fitzgerald at The Truth and Story has one of those. Also, forgive my chip nail polish. I'm doing a bunch of filming today and I have not redone my nails yet. But like even these cups, just everything feels so lifeless in this deck. And I'm sure it's because the artwork was just literally copied and redone. Like look at how copy and pasty those cups look. I don't know. It's just, no. It fell so flat. And I love the theme of this deck, but this artwork was, ew, just to me. So I'm being very blunt. I'm apologizing to anybody in advance who loves any of the decks I am kind of ewing all over. The book is fantastic, but I didn't want to mar the book since I knew I didn't love the deck, so I have not really touched the book at all so that I can rehome this as a nice set to somebody who will use and appreciate it. Yes. Now, for those of you curious, the original Mythic, which is out of print right now, is coming back into print at the end of 2019, so if you have been having a hard time finding the original, it will be back and available again pretty soon. So I'm going to pull my candle over. Okay. Next, we have the Shapeshifter Tarot. This is out of print by DJ Conway, and the illustration here is by DJ Conway and Serona Knight. The illustrations are by Lisa Hunt. I was very lucky. I acquired this deck twice. First, I ordered a used copy or bought a used copy from somebody in my neighborhood, like a Craigslist or Facebook purchase, and it was a horrible experience. The cards came in, they were completely trashed. They smelled really thickly of smoke, despite being assured that it was a smoke-free experience. It really was unpleasant. I put the cards in baking soda, but they were just in horrible condition. And then I was in a bookstore in Seattle and stumbled on a copy of this for just regular price on the shelf. So I think I paid like $20 US maybe for it. And this is an out of print deck. But when I started flipping through it, the biggest thing that caught my attention was that Lisa Hunt in a couple of her decks has swapped air so that air is wands and fire is swords, which is opposite from usually we have wands being fire, swords being air. And this would not be as distracting, except, so here she has Goddess of Air. If that would have been all we had, I would have adjusted and I would have mentally attributed to swords or whatever. But then at the top, it says air element and then wands. And then on top of that, of course, cards that are normally in the wand suit that I associate with fire are now pictured in a very airy colorway. I found that so distracting, and I have to say, like, look at this artwork. It's beautiful. It really is beautiful, and I would love to have a Lisa Hunt deck someday, but this this whole swapping of the suits is not something I'm finding that I can really get past. Here's another one. So here's the 10 of Wands, our burden card, but look how airy that is. Now, if this is something that you can get past, then great, because the artwork really is stunning, and I do have a full-size guidebook from that first purchase that went bad. It's a really rough shape copy, but it is readable, that I have as well. So when I rehome this, I will be offering that book with it as well, so that you have the full-size book, but or whoever this goes to has a full-size book. But yeah, so this is in brand new condition. I opened it, I started looking through it and realized, no, not for me. This next deck is another one that I really, really tried hard to connect with, and I do love it. Part of me wants to continue trying, but it just goes a little too far left of what, or to one direction, not specifically left. It goes a little too far away from what I love. And the meanings just don't resonate as well because of that. Now, if you want to take the time to devote some study to a particular deck, this one could be very worthwhile. The artwork is really, really beautiful. It's bold and vivid, particularly trimmed. I have trimmed my copy, so when I got it, it had this yellowish border that went all the way around, and it is a nice border, but it made the deck look much more yellow than it already was, and these colors, like these purples and these vivid blues, just weren't popping very well, and so I love it trimmed. I think it looks way better, but yeah, like this is the Three of Cups, and there's a lot of cards here that just take a completely different approach than the usual Rider-Waite-Smith, which is my system of choice. And so, like, this is fine. This is like Two of Mirrors, which is like the Two of Cups. This is beautiful. But a lot of them do go to a completely new direction, and that was intentional. The creators of this deck really did want it to be its own unique system and its own world. So it goes to some really beautiful places. I just found that I wasn't excited enough about it to want to put the work in. This is such a beautiful card. So for me, it just didn't work out. So this one is going to be rehomed. I do also have the book that they created separately for this one in a full size. It's not quite like a guidebook. It's like combination guidebook and going deeper. So this is the Chrysalis Tarot, and the artist here is Holly Sierra, and the author is Tony Brooks. This is a beautiful deck, and I wanted to love it. I just don't, and I don't want it in my rotation when I'm kind of not looking forward to using it. That just doesn't work for me. This one I'm kind of on the fence about a little bit, if for no other reason than it's got unicorns. So this is the Tarot of a Moon Garden. I actually lucked into a copy of this in basically new condition. This is one of the original printings from 1993. So this is, sorry, that's what I was going to say. I lucked into this from somebody locally, and so I just picked it up without knowing a whole lot about it, and this is before I saw anybody really talking about this deck. Since then, I've seen some really great walkthroughs, including one that Simon did, which if I remember to, I will link that down below or in the cards. There's a real whimsical inner child friendly sort of nature to this deck. Everything is taking place in the nighttime. It's pippish for sure, so that's the Seven of Pentacles. It is a bit pippish. The Wheel of Fortune, Five of Pentacles. Some of them are like very Rider-Waite-Smith, like this one, and then others, like I said, like the Seven of Pentacles are more pips. The Wands I find are very pippish. But mostly what gets to me about this are these large, obtrusive borders. If this was larger and borderless, I might be less on the fence about it, but it isn't. And if I were to try to trim this, it would be so tiny that it would be almost, I don't know, I'm not motivated enough to want to make this one work, and I have tried a few times. I do love how sweet the artwork is, but meh, I don't need it enough, I think. So maybe I'm not as much on the fence as I thought, but yeah, this one is lovely, and I really love the bag that I picked for it with its pink and neon and 90s vibe, but sadly, no. Oh, the next two. Okay, Legend, the Arthurian Tarot. I picked this up secondhand for, I think, around $25 or $30. This is the original boxed set, so this has the full-size guidebook. I've marked up the pages in my color style so I can find the sections easily. I had high hopes for this. Oh, this also comes like a full-size like reading mat, like really big actually, and a really cool spread. Let's see if I can very carefully give you guys an idea. Oh, I think it is a Celtic cross. Never mind. I thought it was something else, but no, it's a Celtic cross. This is beautiful. I really want to love this because I love Grail Legend, and I have read basically the entire guidebook. I think I did read the entire guidebook actually. And this did give me some feels, and I rewatched my favorite Arthurian movie, which is The Mists of Avalon. But yeah, I just didn't connect with the artwork, and I love the backs. Holy cow. So I love these, these cardboard things when the cards like to hide in the bottom. Oh my goodness. We're having issues. Can I just say I'm so glad we don't have these kinds of boxes anymore, really? Very few people put us through this anymore, but this used to be the thing that all of the decks had going. Okay, I love the backings, and I love that there is this Arthurian theme, and I know lots of people who love this deck. So this is the back, that Spiral Labyrinth. I did edge this in a very, very light purple. It's almost like it's very pale. I don't know if you can tell even on camera, but it's, and I spent some good quality time with this deck. I mean, I could have just read it without the theme. Most of my cards are pretty good condition. There's a couple that have like little chips like that on them. I didn't like how washed out the art felt to me. It didn't, like, these figures are ghostly pale, and I was not a fan of that. Like, they look like they're, oops, knocked the camera. They look like they're like literal ghosts. Like, I don't even, and I don't know. I wanted to like this more than I did. The art, again, if it's a no-go for me on the artwork, no matter how cool the theme is or how connected to it I feel, I don't know. I don't get excited about working with it because I don't want to see it on my table, and yeah, I mean, it is lovely, and if you're really, really, really into Arthurian legend, this is a beautiful one to have, but it just did not work for me. So this one is a no-go. Because it is one of the original, I think this is one of the original printings, the second hack. I did not do all of this highlighting, so somebody else had done highlighting. But this book, let's see, does it say? Yeah, this is the second edition, third printing, 1998. I think that's the only spot where any highlighting shows up in the book. Yeah, that's it. But any case, beautiful. I was excited to find this in a thrift store. That was kind of a cool, or in a used bookstore rather, that was kind of a cool find, but turned out that it was not for me. So this one is going to have to find a new home as well. There we go. Okay. And finally, oh, actually, there's two more. I think. Yeah, there's two more. The Wild Unknown. I know people are going to have feelings about this. I didn't dislike this deck, to be completely fair. And I have enjoyed working with it. It's not that I didn't enjoy it. I did find that the guidebook was very lacking, and I ended up using a web page, which if I remember to, I will link for you, where a blogger, whose name I forget right at this moment, did some really wonderful detailed descriptions of what these different cards could mean, and that really helped me to connect with this deck more. But ultimately, part of what sold me on finally parting ways with this deck was that there are other slightly more minimalist decks that are nature-based. So for that one, I would say the Naked Heart Tarot I connect with better than I connect with this one. And other nature-based decks, such as the Brady Tarot, which I prefer over this one as well. Why would I hold on to this one other than for basically nostalgia and the fact that this was a deck that I grabbed when just before I think I started my YouTube channel, or just after, and was so excited about and enjoyed its different perspective. But ultimately, again, I don't get excited to reach for this one. I'm far more excited to reach for the Brady Tarot or the Naked Heart Tarot over this one. Now, I did trim it thinking it would kind of re-enliven my attraction to it, but it did not. Now, I do enjoy the artwork. There's nothing about this deck that I find unpleasant, and I do find it reads fine for me. But again, I just don't get I'm not thrilled when it comes up in rotation for me to use, or yeah, and when I think of nature decks or animal decks to read for clients, this one just literally doesn't even come to mind. As beautiful as it is and as unique and special as it is, and there are a few cards that I really thoroughly love. Like I love this one, the Nine of Cups in this deck. This is probably one, it was one of my original favorite Nine of Cups that was Pippish, because it still gave that feeling of tranquility and comfort and contentment. But then there were cards like this that, ugh, I get it and I can read it, but I don't like it. And yeah, so there was just some, I had a bit of a love slash slight annoyance relationship with this deck. Cards like this that I just didn't love or connect with as well. I mean, I can read them, but yeah. So even after trimming it, and I didn't re-edge it after I trimmed it, I just trimmed it. Even after trimming it, it was just not exciting enough for me to want to keep in my collection. So I am going to be letting this deck go, and that is that. Now this was one of the mass-produced copies. It was not one of the indie copies. And they did such a beautiful job with production and packaging and all that stuff with this deck. But nope, not for me. The last deck, I'm pretty sure I'm going to rehome, if for no other reason than I think it's partly kind of wasted on me. And this is the Lover's Tarot by Jane Lyle. This is a first edition, and it is basically new. So the ribbon is a little bit trashed, and it's not sealed on the outside, but the book is in pristine condition. There is a built-in bookmark. This book hasn't even been, like, look, the bookmark is even still folded in. It has a bit of that smell like it's been in somebody's attic for a while, that kind of thing. It doesn't smell bad. It just has that like aged smell, but I'm a book sniffer and I notice these things. And then the cards live over here, and they are gigantic. There's my hand, there's the cards, they are still sealed, and this is a major arcana only deck. So I feel like keeping this, if I keep this, it would be literally to use these in spell work or as altar cards, which is something I'm not opposed to, but at the same time I kind of wonder if it's fair in a weird way for me to hold on to something that I'm not gonna be quite as excited about. I don't know. It does have this kind of cool collage-y old world classical art almost feel to it, but again, I don't want to even open it because I'm not sure I would appreciate it as much as maybe somebody else would. So that one I'm probably going to rehome at some point, and it is lovely, but I think it needs to be loved by somebody who knows immediately how they might use it. So the ribbons are not great, but you could probably replace it. It looks like it's just threaded into the box. So that is it, you guys. This is the pile of decks that I don't connect with. And I am going to be going to a tarot conference in March, and I'll probably pick some of these to come with me because there will be a trade table there where I can leave some of these behind for people that will love and appreciate them, who can choose them off the table, and then I can pick something else that I might connect better with. But barring that, once that's finished, I'll probably do some kind of sale on Facebook or something like that to rehome these or trade them or something like that. But I'm in Canada, so if you are watching this and you are not in Canada, most of these, it's probably not going to be worth trying to trade, because most of these you can still get really easily and inexpensively, with maybe one or two exceptions. So with that being said, I'm going to sign off of this video for now, and I'm going to move on to my regular deck collection, which I'm filming next. I have no idea when any of these are going on my channel, but I will see you all again very, very soon. Bye-bye!